So a lot of us struggle to speak up in meetings, and it happens to the best of us, and for so many reasons. But we can't take away from the fact that speaking up in meetings is some sort of like a yardstick that people use to measure, one's contribution on the team. And it's just the way it is. And it's like, you're giving this stage or this platform every single day, sometimes multiple times in a day, and then you find yourself just being quiet. In this video, I'm going to be sharing why this might be happening to you and some tips that can help you get better at speaking up in meetings. So let's dive right into this video. So let's understand why first. Like, why are we not speaking up in meetings? And when I think about it, even for myself, it sometimes comes down to maybe, maybe lack of confidence. I have talked about the fact that I am in an industry that I'm not particularly used to right now. And a lot of the times I'm just like, listening in meetings, and I don't feel like I need to talk unless I really have something to say. So I think for me is I feel like maybe I don't know enough about what they're talking about for me to contribute. For some other people, it may just be that they're new on the job and then they just, prefer to be quiet in maybe the first set of meetings that they're in, and then that's the reason why they are not even speaking up. For some other people, it could just be complete lack of confidence and self-esteem that is causing them not to speak up in meetings. For some other people, it may be their personality type. So if you're an introvert, it takes extra effort, to be fair, in order to be able to get words out of an introvert's mouth. And when you're not even put in the kind of setting where, let's say, for example, you're not like maybe in meetings with like business leaders and everything, it may just make an introvert just crawl into their shell. For some people, it may just because they care what other people think about them, and they don't want to say something and then feel stupid. Maybe they've experienced it in the past, and maybe that's the reason why they're not speaking up. For some other people, it could be like maybe they're having the meeting in a language that is probably maybe not their first language. So they are not sure of how to express themselves. So depending on the category that you fall into, you need to understand the reason why you think you're not speaking up in meetings. So once you understand, the reason why you think you're not speaking in meetings, it would help you to maybe look for ways to improve some of those things, right? I talked about lack of confidence, language barrier, new to a job or an industry, or just caring about what people say, right? When you understand why you're not, speaking up, you can start to address some of these things on your own. However, regardless of the reason that may be stopping you from speaking up in meetings, I think that there are ways that you can start to learn how to do this and do it effectively. So the first thing is prepare for every meeting. So if you find yourself not speaking up in meetings, it may be because you're not actually prepared for these meetings. So you want to be in a situation whereby you are familiar with maybe the agenda. So if the meeting has an agenda on it, you can spend some time prior to the meeting to maybe think through what the meeting is about, some of your concerns, and maybe questions that you may possibly want to ask the host of the meeting when you're in that session. This is like the best way, for you to start to get comfortable in feeling like you are even asking intelligent questions in meetings. Another thing that you can do is, especially if you find yourself constantly in meetings with people that sort of have like a much larger ego and they are more dominant people in meetings with you, you want to try and maybe speak early in the meetings before it gets to a stage where you're feeling like, oh, this is a 1 hour meeting where like 30 minutes into the meeting I haven't said anything. So, and it doesn't have to be anything significant. It could be as if it's a virtual meeting, for example, as people are joining, you're just saying hi. Or maybe while they're waiting for other people for, let's say if it's an external meeting, you can introduce yourself if you're like the first person on the call, and just say, your name and your role. And then you can end it by, oh, let's just wait for this person to join the meeting, and then before we get started, or give an information about why your colleague is running late for a meeting at the beginning, right? I know that this might not sound like you're contributing to the meeting, but it gives you an opportunity to start to get comfortable with hearing your own voice in meetings. The next thing you can also try to do is practice. And if you look at meetings as something that we do to share ideas, to try to figure out solutions to a problem, and you can break down a meeting in that sort of way, you would realize that really, what do people do in meetings? They share their opinions, they share ideas, they highlight risks. And these are like things that you can start to practice with and go like, okay, you know what? In this meeting, I'm going to start to learn to speak. And you could start by maybe asking clarifying questions. So you're in a meeting and they're really talking about something that you are not sure of. You could say things like, oh, could you please clarify that? What does this acronym mean, right? Are you trying to say that this, right? So that way you're getting comfortable with asking questions, right? Another type of thing you can do, again, is you can re-echo an opinion that you agree with, which is, if you think about it, you have people that is what they do in meetings. They're like, oh, just like Tommy said, right? I completely agree that we should go in this direction, right? You can rephrase it, but you're basically just agreeing with something that somebody has just said. Another thing is you could be disagreeing with something that somebody has said. Oh, I'm not sure we should go in this direction. I don't completely agree with this opinion, and here is why I don't agree with it. And then you can, follow that up with the reason why you think that what the other person has said is probably not the best way to approach a problem or whatever thing that is being talked about. Another thing you can also do is to highlight risks. Like I said earlier, you can just say, hey, you know what, have we considered that this might have this sort of, ripple effect on these other areas, right? And you can just even leave it at that. You start to train yourself to speak up in meetings. Another thing you can also try, even, again, with practicing, is maybe you want to own some of the actions of the meeting, right? Let's say people are like talking about different things, and you can just say, you know what, I'll own that action. Let me take this back to my team, and then let's see what we can come up with before the next meeting. That may just be the only thing you're going to say. So you want to put yourself in a position where you're not only speaking up, but also seen as contributing. And, as you continue to own some of these tasks, you can now get comfortable, because the next meeting, really and truly, based on the work that you've done, you now have to speak, at this meeting and share some of the facts that you found while you were working on the action that you owned. The last tip I'm going to share is try to own some meetings on your own, right? You can take initiative, and call for certain meetings. And what that would also do for you is, you, at this point, if you call for a meeting, you have the responsibility to speak either in the beginning, in the middle, or at the end. These are things that you can actually do to practice, how to speak up in meetings, because if you are owning a meeting, even though you might not necessarily be the subject matter expert, right? But it gives you an opportunity to prepare. And even if what you're doing is to introduce why you have asked everyone to come to the meeting, you would find that you're not just keeping quiet. And at the end of the meeting, somebody might say, hey, you know what? Have we covered the agenda for this meeting? Have we gotten the outcome that we thought we wanted for this meeting? And they would ask and pose some of these questions to you. And this is how you can start to, build the confidence to start to speak up in meetings and even gain more visibility. So we've come to the end of this video, and if you've enjoyed this content, like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you next time. Bye.